I stopped believing in stars the moment I understood they were corpses. Not metaphorically. Not poetically. Actually dead. Every pinpoint of light in our sky, every constellation we'd named and navigated by for 10,000 generations, was a funeral marker for something that had already ended. We were a civilization built on watching ghosts, and we never knew it until Dr. Helen Vess made one catastrophic measurement that should have been impossible. She was tracking temporal decay in quantum-locked particles at the edge of our solar system, routine work, the kind of deep space telemetry that usually confirmed what we already believed about causality and light speed and the arrow of time. Except her readings didn't confirm anything. They inverted it. The particles weren't decaying forward. They were crystallizing backward. Entropy wasn't increasing in her samples. It was rewinding. And when she cross-referenced the data with stellar observations, the correlation was undeniable. Every star we could measure, from our own sun to the farthest visible galaxy, showed the same quantum signature. They were all running in reverse. Not collapsing toward their futures. Rebuilding from their pasts. Or what we thought were their pasts. The Presidium dismissed her findings as instrumentation error. Then 3 other labs across 4 different worlds replicated her results. That's when the panic turned institutional. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. I was there as a temporal physics advisor, which meant I was one of 12 people in the known universe who understood just how fundamentally Vess had broken reality. The emergency session lasted 4 hours. By the end, nobody was speaking. We just sat there staring at the projection of our own sun, watching its fusion process tick backward, frame by quantum frame, like a film reel spooling the wrong direction. Someone finally asked the question we were all suffocating on. If stars are running backward, what about us? Are we moving backward too, or forward? And if we're moving forward through a universe running backward, what does that make us? The lead cosmologist, an old Thurian named Corvus, said something I'll never forget. He said, "We're not moving at all. We're being played back." That's when the schism started. Not between scientists. Between people and reality itself. Some argued we were in a closed time loop, a cosmic recursion where the universe would eventually collapse and reboot, and we were just caught in the rewind phase. Others believed we were living in a quantum echo, a simulation branch where causality had been deliberately reversed by something external, something testing or observing us. A few believed it was proof of God, or gods, plural, running existence like a diagnostic script. But Vess didn't care about theology. She cared about proof. And she found it 3 months later in the most horrifying way possible. She isolated the exact moment our sun would quantum lock into its death state. Not the moment it would die in our observable future. The moment it had already died in the real timeline. The forward timeline. The one we weren't living in anymore. She calculated it down to the rotation. And then she made a prediction. If our universe is running backward, and stars are rewinding toward their ignition points, then we should be able to observe the sun's death signature even though it hasn't happened yet for us. We should see the scar of its ending, faintly, encoded in its current light spectrum. Like looking at a healed wound and knowing there used to be blood. So she pointed our most sensitive telescopes at the sun and filtered for quantum residue, the kind of residue left behind when a massive object undergoes catastrophic state collapse. And she found it. A ghost image. Burned into the star's quantum foam. The sun wasn't just burning. It was remembering its own death. And it had died 6 billion years ago. In the forward universe. We were living in the rewind. I watched the data feeds with my hands shaking. Around me, people were crying, vomiting, sitting in silence with their heads in their hands. Because if the sun had already died in the real timeline, that meant we had too. All of us. Every planet. Every civilization. Every thought, every child, every dream. We'd already lived and ended, and now we were being run backward through existence like a recording on reverse, unconscious of the direction, unaware we were echoes of people who'd already stopped. Vess didn't stop there. She wanted to know why. Why reverse the simulation? Why replay a dead universe backward instead of forward, or not at all? So she started scanning other stars, looking for deeper patterns, and that's when she found the timestamps. Encoded in the quantum substrates of certain ancient stars were markers, sequences that didn't match any natural formation. They were deliberate. Artificial. Information written into the structure of spacetime itself. And when she decoded the first sequence, it said, Event Horizon Breach Logged. Universe collapsed under gravitational singularity cascade. Total extinction of biological and synthetic life. Rewind initiated for diagnostic causality trace. That's when I realized we weren't people. We were a debugger's log. Something out there, something vast and incomprehensible, had run the universe forward until it destroyed itself, and now it was running it backward to figure out what went wrong. We weren't alive. We were data. Fossils being reanimated to solve an equation. The Presidium tried to suppress the findings, but you can't suppress the end of meaning. The information leaked. Riots broke out on 12 worlds. Entire colonies stopped functioning because why continue if you're not real, if you're just a reverse playback of a species that already failed? Some people took it as liberation. If none of this matters, then nothing we do can be wrong. Crime rates spiked. Governments collapsed. Others doubled down on meaning, building churches and monuments to the idea that even a rewind deserves reverence. But I couldn't move. I just stood in the observation deck of the research station, watching the stars, knowing they were all corpses. Knowing I was one too. The worst part came 6 weeks later. Vess made one final discovery. She calculated how far back the simulation had rewound. How much time had been erased and replayed. And the answer was everything. The rewind started at the heat death of the universe, trillions upon trillions of years after our sun had died, after every star had burned out, after all matter had decayed into radiation and silence. And it had been rewinding ever since. That meant our entire history, our entire existence, was just the last few seconds of a multi-trillion-year corpse being replayed in reverse at infinite speed. We weren't even close to the beginning. We were near the end of the rewind. Which meant soon, very soon, the simulation would reach the Big Bang. And then it would stop. Vess didn't know what happened after that. Whether the universe would replay forward again. Whether we'd loop forever. Whether we'd simply cease, or merge, or dissolve into whatever external framework had been running us. She didn't know. And neither did I. But I knew one thing. I stopped believing in stars the moment I understood they were corpses. And I stopped believing in myself the moment I realized I was too.